What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Central. My name is Emmanuel, and today we are going all in one of the hottest topics at Manchester United right now. Bruno Fernandes' resurgence. I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic since Ruben Van Nistelrooy took over. The Portuguese playmaker has been on fire recently, showing a dramatic resurgence since Ten Hag's exit. He has netted 4 goals in 4 games, assisting his teammates in that period of time. And honestly, he's playing some of the best football we've seen from him in a while. But with United bringing in Ruben Amorim as the new head coach, there are big questions about how Fernandes will fit into Amorim's favored 3-4-3 formation. Today, let's talk about Bruno Fernandes' stats, what's changed under interim coach Ruben Van Nistelrooy, and how Amorim might adjust United tactics going forward. We'll also explore what these changes could mean for Fernandes and the team as a whole. Let's jump in. Now, let's start by comparing Bruno Fernandes' form under Ten Hag and Ruben Van Nistelrooy, right? Under Ten Hag, we saw a Fernandes who had been struggling. In fact, he hadn't scored a single goal all season before the Dutchman's exit. For a player with Fernandes' skill and start, this was pretty surprising. Remember his 250 appearances for United, he's registered an impressive 83 goals and 72 assists in that time. That's more than just consistent, it's extraordinary to say the least for a midfielder. I mean, these are mind-blowing. So what happened under Ten Hag? Under Ten Hag, Fernandes was often pushed into wider positions, sometimes even isolated on the right. This limited his influence on the game because he couldn't roam freely and get involved in the central areas, where he's most dangerous. Now, when you restrict a player like Bruno to the flank, you take away his ability to pick out those killer passes, make runs in the box, and ultimately create and score goals. Fast forward to Van Nistelrooy's tenure as interim coach, and we see Fernandes back in his favored number 10 role, operating behind the striker with far more freedom to move around. Now, this change has been pivotal, He's no longer locked in a specific zone. Instead, he's finding pockets of space all over the pitch, getting on the ball more often, and creating chances for his teammates. And the results speak for themselves. 4 goals in 4 games, and of course, tons of assists in that period of time. In 2 games, he's created as many chances as he did in 9 games under Ten Hag. That's the impact of a simple positional change. Now, let's zoom in on Bruno's performance against Leicester yesterday. It was a classic Bruno display, not flawless, but effective. He scored the opening goal with a stunning strike from outside the box, displaying that trademark confidence we know him for. Now, here's the thing about Bruno. He's a risk taker. He'll attempt those difficult passes and try audacious shots, and sometimes they don't come off. Against Leicester, he had a couple of wayward crosses and even misfired a pass back to a teammate. But rather than playing it safe, he kept pushing, and that resilience is what sets him apart. Now, take a look at the clip of this. Watch this goal. This wasn't a scrappy tapping, it was pure quality. He receives the ball, looks up, cracks it from outside the box. It's that self-belief, that instinct to make something happen that makes him so crucial for United. Fernandes didn't just stop at that one goal. He was instrumental in the second goal build-up, connecting the play through his movement and passing. And for the third goal, he provided the assist. Such a fantastic player. Overall, he created 7 chances in that match alone, more than any other player in the Premier League over the weekend. He was everywhere, literally, putting the strings and dictating the tempo. To put that into perspective, 7 chances created by a single player in 1 game is almost unheard of. He's out there playing with the kind of freedom and confidence we saw when he first joined Manchester United. Now, how did Van Nistelrooy unlock this version of Fernandes, the monster we saw yesterday? The key here is trust and tactical freedom. Van Nistelrooy had allowed Fernandes to roam centrally as a playmaker rather than sticking him on the right or left wing. This central role right behind the striker is where Fernandes thrives because he can find those dangerous pockets of space between the opposition's defense and midfield. Van Nistelrooy has created a system that accommodates Fernandes' strengths. With Bruno positioned centrally, we are seeing him closer to the striker, being able to link up with teammates and take proper shots on goal. It's a smart approach. Rather than trying to fit Bruno into a rigid structure, Van Nistelrooy adjusted the system to allow his creativity to flourish. That's why we see him spreading all those passes on the pitch. Now, with Amorim coming in, there are big questions about whether Bruno will keep the freedom or be forced into a more defined role. Let's talk about Amorim's approach for a bit. At Sporting Lisbon, Amorim built a reputation for his organized, structured 3-4-3 formation, which relies heavily on the back three and wing backs pushing up the field. It's a system that prioritizes defensive solidity and often uses inside forwards rather than a central attacking midfielder. Amorim has used this formation to great success in Portugal, winning 2 league titles with Sporting. In this setup, you typically have a number 10 in the same way United currently do with Fernandes. Instead, you have two inside forwards supporting the central striker. This means that, theoretically, Bruno would either need to adapt to a wider role as an inside forward, or Amorim would have to tweak his system to accommodate Bruno's central influence. The big question is, Bruno at his best in that role. Let's take a look at what happens if Bruno has to play as an inside forward. An inside forward operates more from the flank but cuts inside to create and take shots. While Bruno has the technical skill to pull this off, it could limit his influence on the game. As we've seen, Fernandes' best work comes from central areas where he can make direct passes, link up with teammates, and take shots from the edge of the box. If he shifted out wide, Bruno could end up playing less of a playmaking role and more of a supporting role, helping to stretch the defense, but not directly influencing play as much. And let's be honest, when Bruno is less involved, United's creativity tends to suffer. Interestingly, when Van Nistelrooy was asked about the upcoming changes, he avoided commenting on Amorim's system, focusing instead on maintaining the team's momentum. And that's understandable. Right now, United are in a groove. Van Nistelrooy has guided them to a 4-game unbeaten streak, and a shift in formation could disrupt the rhythm. But for Amorim, the pressure is on to implement his system without jeopardizing the team's current form. Amorim needs to make a choice. Does he adapt to the 3-4-3, which fits in Bruno Fernandes on the center, or does Bruno fit into the new formation? It's a high-stakes decision because Bruno's role has been pivotal for United's success. So can Amorim adopt this 3-4-3 formation? This could mean tweaking his inside forwards to give one of them more freedom to roam centrally, creating a hybrid 3-4-1-2 with Bruno playing just behind two forwards. Another option would be to add flexibility to the wing backs, allowing one of them to tuck into the midfield so that Bruno can drift between the lines. Amorim has shown the flexibility in Portugal, so it's possible he will make adjustments. However, he's also known for sticking to his principles, which could mean Bruno will need to find a way to make an impact from a wider role. One factor to consider is how his shifts will affect this team. United's squad has been built with specific roles in mind, and Fernandes has been the focal point of creativity. Amorim's system will test the adaptability of players like Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho, and Anthony, of course, who are typically deployed as wider attackers or inverted wingers in a more conventional setup. And let's not forget Amad Diallo. Now, this change of formation is important because with a 3-4-3, Amorim might not rely as heavily on a dedicated playmaker if he chooses to prioritize defensive solidity and pace on the flanks. So it's crucial for Bruno to adjust quickly and prove he can still be effective even if he's not playing in his preferred number 10 role. But history shows us that the top players can often adapt. Think about players like Kevin De Bruyne and Thomas Muller, who have successfully altered their playing style to fit into different tactical systems. Fernandes could absolutely follow in their footsteps, but it will require patience, and he may need to find in some sort of new ways, to succeed in this multiple role. However, Amorim must be cautious not to sacrifice his playmaking strengths by positioning him in a role that limits his involvement. And this brings us to the larger question: what's the best way for Amorim to keep Fernandes central to United's gameplay? So it's all up to Bruno Fernandes. He has been absolutely instrumental for Van Nistelrooy, playing with freedom in the number 10 role. With Amorim set to implement his 3-4-3 formation, Bruno could face a new challenge, adapting to a potentially new position or finding ways to stand out from an inside forward spot. But given Bruno's skill and adaptability, I believe he will find ways to thrive no matter what. Whether Amorim ultimately tweaks his system to accommodate Fernandes centrally or Bruno adjusts to the flank, is going to be a fascinating thing to watch in the weeks to come up. Bruno's current form is a reminder of how important he can be given the freedom to create and take risks. The next few games will be a trial period for Amorim to see what works best for this team. It's really going to be interesting what is going to happen. And that's it for today on today's edition of Sports Central. What do you think? Should Ruben Amorim adjust his formation to keep Bruno Fernandes at the center of United's attack, or should Bruno adapt to the 3-4-3 system? Let me know your thoughts in the comment below, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis. I'll be keeping a close eye on how Amorim's system takes shape and how it impacts United performance as we move further into the season. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, my name is Emmanuel, and I'll catch you.